Traditional development, they're all suckers. I promise you, this is going to bend your mind. But this is what I do. 1.974. They have to find that in cash. Now, most people like yourself, developers, don't have that laying around. But this is how they do it. They lend 65% from somebody like me, which was essentially 3.666, 234, right? Simple. That combined comes up to 5.64 million. They would borrow 65%, tip in 35%, and the profit would end up being around about 1.974. But they had to put in 1.9 million just to get there. You might go, shit, that's a traditional ROI. Now, most banks will lend them that kind of cash, but the developer needed nearly 2 million in cash. Now you might go, that's pretty decent. Now jot this formula down. This formula is important for you. Get this down. An ROI is simply the profit divided by total cost. Or otherwise, profit 1.974 divided by total cost 5.64. Do the math, that's 35% as an ROI. So, you can see they've committed 1.974 million in cash. Now that's the ROI, the old way of doing it. Old school. I don't like that way because I don't like tipping that kind of money. You learned something very valuable this morning about a DA. A DA massively enforces value. If I can now execute the DA and get this as soft equity, I can use the soft equity to bank the deal. That's what I worked out nearly 16 years ago. I'm like, well, fuck it, who cares? The valuer said it's worth this. I've already pre-sold 80%. And my bankers were like, we got you. That makes total sense. We don't care. So watch carefully. Here's the difference. An internal rate of return, or what I've designed, how I do it, is I want to eliminate all the risk. I do not want to commit 1.97 million of cash. Essentially, that's what he had to do, or she had to do. Let's call that cash. That sucks. Because that's just almost impossible for most of us. So here's what I do. I use a small amount of seed capital and I use the soft equity created from my DA. So how much did it cost me to get that soft equity? Great question. Let's rewind. The DA cost me $70,000. Watch very carefully. The project's the same. The soft equity I created through the DA process ended up being 440. This differential, or on a different color, the differential between no DA and DA was a set DA equals 440K. That cost, that value. Now, the DA and the value created was a total equity security of 1.68 million. The total project cost the same. This is my development. 5.64, I sold the blocks, the 11 industrial lots, for 7,614,000. The net position was 1.974020. So I made 1.974. But the question is, how much did it cost you to get that 1.974 million in profit? He didn't use cash. This fucking guy took 70 cash and then used the DA, and the 70,000 was the only money he had in the whole deal. So let's break this down. Same outcome, very different pathway to get there. Jot this down, you'll need this. An internal rate of return equals the profit divided by the total hard costs. So get this down. Internal rate of return, an IRR, was the profit divided by the total cost. An internal rate of return is nothing more than the hard cash versus the profit. So let's do this together. The hard cash was 70 grand. That was the DA cost for me. The total profit was $1,974,020. Same number. But I used $70,000 to net $1,974,020. You divide that into that, that's your rate of return. 2,820%.